it's Lindsey. I am here for a Wellness Wednesday. I'm back in my house. Yay, exciting, exciting feelings for me. And I did not make the time to pre-film and upload or any of that sort of stuff for this week. And I thought I would just kind of talk a little bit about the fact that it's time for me to reset. I have spent the past few weeks out in the abroad world, the great blue yonder. We went across the Atlantic and went to Italy and Sicily, my husband and I, and we recently got back. And it's been a whirlwind of a resetting period for us here in the house as far as just getting back to our normal rhythm and routine, much less trying to reset my body into a ketogenic state of being. There's been a lot happening. So I felt like going live would probably be the easiest gate back into getting back in the habit of filming and everything. It was very tricky for me to try and film while we were out of town, just because there's so much to take in, so much to do, so much to see, and just experience things in real time. And we did take a little bit of footage here and there just for our children's sake, since they did not come with us on this trip. And that's not stuff that I plan to share here. I'm not a travel channel. I'm a keto channel, basically, or I'm a wellness channel. Let's clarify that. If you are new here, I welcome you. Thank you for clicking on this live stream. And if you're finding this as a replay, thanks for clicking on that. I do a lot of wellness content here on my channel. It's 100% descriptive of my personal experience. It's never prescriptive of what you should do. I'm never gonna take on that role. I don't like telling people what to do. I don't like it when people tell me what to do. So that's where I sit. But I do share things like what I eat in a day, or how different recipes go, or I create some recipes. I share these Wellness Wednesday type things, and I, just like to talk about wellness topics and how my health and wellness are going. It's a fun outlet for me. So if any of that stuff is interesting to you, I would love to have you consider subscribing and sticking around for a while. For all of you who have been here before, thank you so much for coming back. Could you hold, please? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I love you. We're back in the swing of trying to get homeschooling back to its normal rhythm and routine. So we were traveling overseas, obviously, and one of the major things that we noticed is that the States, we have a plethora of options when it comes to the ways we choose to eat. There are innumerable options for things like vegetarians, vegans, Whole30, for Paleolithic eaters. There are endless seas of ketogenic friendly food products. It's just, we have the whole world at our fingertips in the States. And that was like, I've known that in my brain, but it was never more evident than when we were in places like Sicily and even in Ireland. It was very fascinating to find something that was either low in sugar or a complete like high fat, moderate protein item that didn't have an abundance of carbs. Very, very difficult to find in the places we went. We didn't tour the entire island of Ireland or the entire island of Sicily, but we did feel like we got a fairly decent swath or sample size of those places. And yeah, it was definitely a lot more thinking on my part to figure out what to eat, how to eat it. And there were lots of things that I chose to eat that were not friendly to a ketogenic state of being, and I decided to just go with it and experience the situation as it stood, rather than trying to lament the fact that forcing my diet into the box that was available to me in those places was it was going to be way more headache than it was worth it. So we did fly across. Obviously, we didn't take a boat. That would have been funny. And there were a few things that I brought along with us just as sort of like plain snacks and potential snacks throughout the trip. I tried not to bring my entire arsenal of prepackaged snacks, but I do have prepackaged snacks so that in those moments where I can't prepare fresh food for myself, I have some sort of an option. And so what we brought with us, I brought some of the Perfect Keto chocolate cereal as kind of like those munchy crunchy, like that texture. Sometimes you just really crave that kind of a texture. So I brought some of those, or I brought one bag of those. And then I also brought a few of the Nola bars from Perfect Keto, a couple of the Mallow Munch bars, the peanut butter flavor is what we have on hand. So I brought these, I tried to use them sparingly, and I tried to rely really heavily on just choosing meats and cheese. Basically, it was a lot of charcuterie minus the bread for me. There was still plenty of bread to be eaten, and there was still plenty of the marmalades and other sort of compotes that had sweet elements to them that I consumed. But for the snacks that I brought, those are what I brought. And I also brought my real salt. I had two of these. I had one just kind of loose like this that I would keep in my pocket at almost all times. And then I have the little keychain holder that I keep in my purse at all times. So there was always salt to be had. It came in handy in more than one instance because there was no salt on certain items. And we were like, oh, we need the salt. So I did bring those things along with me, and I was a little bit bummed out because Perfect Keto sent me their new formulation of their keto bars, and it arrived a few days too late. I was so bummed out because I know that I loved the chocolate chip one of these, like their variety of those that I had back when I had my reduction surgery. Gosh, it's been about a year and a few months since then, and I stinking loved those. And they were gone in like just a few days. I had a box of, I want to say 5 at the time, and they were gone. They were so gone. And so I would have loved to have had these with us on our trip. I think they would have held up beautifully, but they've reformulated their keto bars. They still have the originals, I believe. I would have to double check that, but these new ones are a vegan friendly. Now, if you know me, I'm not a vegan. I've never touted to be a vegan. I wear a non-vegan t-shirt often. I find much value in animal products, but I also fully understand and respect that there are loads of people out there who either can't eat like beef collagen or can't eat animal products for whatever reason, or they choose not to eat those. It's not my place to make decisions for people. And I love the fact that Perfect Keto has put together a shelf-stable snack option for those who do practice a vegan lifestyle or who need to eat something that doesn't have the beef collagen in it. So I find that wicked cool. They've come out with some different flavors. This is mint chocolate. That'll be the one that I try first. I'm gonna try that one today here on camera for you. And I haven't tried any of these yet. They have a dark chocolate coconut almond. Not gonna lie, coconut is not my favorite, so that might be my not most reached for product. We'll see if the girls like that though. And then the other one is chocolate peanut butter. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna try the mint chocolate chip one, or mint chocolate one. These have 20 grams of fat. That was something that I felt like was lacking over in Ireland and in Italy, or technically Sicily, Italy, was fat. Like finding, I mean, like they've got loads of olive oil over in Sicily, but it's not exactly something that you just sit there with like a glass of olive oil and glug it down. It's just not something that's done. And in Ireland, they did have like fatty cheeses and they do have butter, you know, Kerrygold butter. I really wanted to go to a butter museum, but we didn't have time. I thought that would have been super fun. But, you know, just was not abundantly available for me to just sit there and chomp on a stick of butter unless we went to Lidl and bought butter or sit in a cafe and drink olive oil in Sicily. That just wasn't a thing. So finding enough fat sources for me was a bit of a stretch, which meant that I relied a lot heavier on protein. And if I would have had some of these have the 20 grams of fat. That probably would have been very helpful during the trip. It says it has 4 net carbs. They're gluten-free. Like I said, they were vegan. They are still vegan. They didn't stop being vegan just because I said were. Words are hard, people. Words are hard. I like the fact that these have very short ingredient lists. We have chocolate liqueur, almonds, dried coconut, erythritol, cocoa powder, water, salt, stevia, and peppermint oil. What is that? Did I say 8 ingredients or 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 ingredients. Not bad, not bad. Every single one of them are easily pronounced. So I'm going to give this little guy a try. That peppermint hits you in the mouth so hard. I love peppermint. Love it. That's delightful. I'm enjoying this much. Excuse me while I talk with food in my mouth. That's delicious. I'm also drinking my favorite strawberry MCT oil soda right here. So these new bars, if you are interested in getting some that are vegan friendly, these are live on the Perfect Keto website. They're also putting on a sale to sort of celebrate the release of these new bars. They're doing you get 25% off of orders that are 50 or more. You get 30% off of orders that are $75 or more. And then if you buy $85 worth of merchandise or, products, you get the 30% off plus a free gift. I found that their free gifts are usually gateways into me buying different snacks, which can be problematic. But there will be a link in the description box if you are interested in that. Please do not feel obligated to buy these things. If it's not in your budget, don't buy it. If it's not something you want, don't buy it. You have the right to choose. I fully respect your right to choose. If you do choose to use my link, I am extremely grateful because it does help me to do things here on my channel. But also, I fully respect your rights to choose. So there is that. So what do I do now that I'm home? I couldn't bring all of these snacks with me. I did eat plenty of bread, plenty of marmalade. It was just sort of one of those things. I refused pasta. We were able to avoid pasta 100% of the time. Pasta's not one of those things for me. I know some people really miss pasta. Other people really miss rice. And some people really miss things like potatoes. And I don't miss pasta. I never really have. It was a useful tool in our pantry and in our food when we were not as health conscientious. But since going more health conscientious, we've kind of pulled back from those. We don't use noodles a ton. We don't use rice a whole ton, but we have plenty of great options to sort of swap out. Cauli rice, super easy, super simple. I know that there are about 78 billion different options for keto noodles or keto friendly noodles on the market. They're just, I don't know. It doesn't really, I'm sorry, I just got a piece of dust in my eye. It doesn't really feel like we're missing out when we don't eat pasta. So in Sicily, not eating pasta was not a big deal to us. But trying to get enough fat, that was pretty difficult. And there were plenty of opportunities for really good Italian bread that was, baked right there. And I felt okay having a slice or two here and there because I could see where it was baked, that sort of situation. So in Sicily, we did have some breads, and I have definitely I enjoyed it while I was there. I fully immersed myself in the culture while I was there and making the better choices for myself without depriving myself of the full experience. Now that we're back home, I have two choices. I can continue to sort of dance around the whole like, yes, I'm eating keto, but if I slip up and happen to have some, roasted potatoes because I make those for the girls or children, then it's going to be fine. I can tiptoe around it, or I can just commit to it and say, look, that period of time is done with traveling. We're now in the season of back to the normal rhythm and routine, and let's just get there. That's where I actually do sit. Oftentimes I'd hear people discuss how difficult it is after they've strayed away from their way of eating, whatever way it may have been. They struggle to get back on the bandwagon or get back into the mind frame they had before they stepped away from the way that they normally eat. I have sort of the opposite struggle generally. It's difficult for me to step off of my way of eating and explore those things, and I was very proud of me for having done that. But ultimately, getting back on to the way I want to eat is what I want to do. Like, that's my strongest desire at this time. And since we've been home, that's what I have done. I have, and in that realm, there are two ways to go about it that I have kind of sort of figured out in my brain. I can either go extremist, which is my tendency, and just do something as focused as triple B and E, the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge, or a straight egg fast. Those type of very restrictive, very simplified ways of eating to get back into full-blown ketosis state of being, my chemistry back into ketosis. Or I can do a more gentle approach where I'm just eating foods that are all ketogenic friendly, not the sugar, not having, just like not having any of the carbs, making sure that I try to get my fat a little bit higher and just sort of easing my way off the protein, because that is one thing that we had buckets of while we were gone was protein, but just sort of like stair-stepping my way down. My instinct is to go hardcore with one of these very simplified, narrowed down ways of eating and get all the way back to, ground zero, to get back to baseline, as Neely would call it. Baseline is what where our goal is. But there's also all of these delightful, delicious things that I'm like, oh, that tomato and eggplant olive sort of like compote was so good. And I bet I can make a delightful egg bread, the egg white bread, and toast that up crostini style and put some of those tomato, eggplant, olive compote actions on there and really enjoy that. So I am going to be taking a more like just eat keto friendly and not be as restrictive with the actual food groups. I will still be eating buckets of eggs, and I will still be pulling out chicken, or I've got a London broil in my deep freeze that I could cook up. I've got sausage, I've got, the meats. I'm still gonna be eating those, obviously, but I'm also going to still allow myself things like the vegetables and treats that I make myself at home. I like to make treats for myself. When I travel, that's when I like to have things that are prepackaged, and these come in super handy for that. But when I'm at home, I feel like those are wasted when I have access to my entire kitchen, my entire pantry, and I have everything I need to produce what I want. So my goal this next week, I guess it's the middle of the week already, isn't it? So my goal for the next 4 to 5 days is to just enjoy eating a ketogenic friendly way without restricting ingredients, without restricting my sweeteners, without restricting the fact that, tomatoes can cause a glucose spike for some people. I'm not going to say insulin spike because I can't measure that, not easily and not in an hour by hour basis. So that's sort of where I am for my resetting. I have plenty of chicken in my refrigerator. That's That's good English for you. My fridge, I've got fresh mayonnaise that I just made. I have a ton of options in there. I'm kind of thinking chicken salad sounds delightful, so I might go that route tonight for dinner. I have some sausage. I can make up some sausage egg burritos with some egg white wraps. I've got tons of eggs. You know, I've just got my basic stuff. I kind of do want to make some sort of a chocolate cake, maybe chocolate cupcakes. I have a smart cake recipe here on my channel, and I'm thinking I may want to make some of those. I think perhaps even like a chocolate raspberry flavor sounds incredible. I'm just saying. So there is all of that. That's how I'm gonna get back into the flow of my regular rhythm and routine here. Trying to film has been a little bit of, there's been some brain blockage in that respect, just for, you know, trying to get back, find my sea legs again, I guess is sort of what I'm saying. And my hope is that I can get back into the habit and into the rhythm of this well. So I've gotten a few comments that I do want to respond to. Lost in space, wellness, that is it. Identity refused. You asked about what country I went to and was it required to get the vaccine to go to that country or to leave the US? No. We went to Ireland and Sicily and nothing was required other than a passport. Lona, Maryland, you like the gentle approach personally. Welcome back. Thank you. I'm very glad to be stateside again. It was a pretty long trip for us. It was still fantastic. It was very full, very enjoyable. But you know, you start to miss that regular rhythm and routine of your daily life when you've been gone for a long time. And then Callie is here. Welcome. I have not gone live for quite some time. That's probably why you haven't caught one. I tell you what I'm really glad to have back in my life is the strawberry with club soda. But this go around, I didn't have my electrolytes yet today, so I did mix in the Relight mixed berry. I'm really sad that all of these are currently sold out on the Redmond site, but I have on order the big giant 25-pound bag of salt because we're gonna need it. We're gonna need it. I'm excited about that. I do have a Redmond code in my description box as well as that Perfect Keto one. If you want to use that one, I would appreciate that much. They have, I have a 15% off discount code that you can use. If you're already using somebody else's, no worries. All right. Lona, better travel rules than Canada. We're lucky, horribly restricted for Canadians. I'm so sorry. I am. Ireland we found to be very, very pleasant on all fronts as far as traveling around. The people there are just so nice. We had gone to Scotland. I don't know if y'all have been around that long, but we went to Scotland back in March, end of March, beginning of April. And the people there were amazing. Loved them. But we really loved the Irish. They were so fun. They were so friendly, so outgoing, so engaging. Very cool people. Definitely want to go back to Ireland. Sicily was very posh, very, very posh in the areas we were in. And not like in a snooty way, but in just like, there's a different air about them. And I definitely found myself just kind of like rising to the occasion. Whereas, you know, the Irish, they're just a little bit more gritty and I tend to be a more gritty person in general. So there's that. Callie, you're addicted to my drink. That's fantastic. I don't know what I plan to do once it finally gets cold here. I'm so jazzed. This morning it was 50 degrees outside and I was just like, oh, it's so glorious. The only reason why I have a tiny appreciation for fall, which I don't appreciate fall, let's be honest, is because it's just one step closer to winter. I love winter. I am so jazzed for winter. I need cold in my life. I tend to be very warm natured, and that was very evident in Sicily. It was blazing hot there to begin with. But then tack on the fact that I'm just warm natured at this stage of my life. I was just like, oh, and I'm not going through menopause. Not that. I just tend to be more warm natured. So there's that. You too, Kelly? A little bit warm-natured, so I'm appreciative of my my little strawberry pink drink here. I did not put any lime in it. Now, Kelly, you say that you don't like the heat at all. That's why you look forward to winter. I love the absolute hottest part of summer when I have my regular rhythm and routine and we can go to the pool and we can be outside in the summer. But then I love the juxtaposition of the freezing cold. When your nose starts to like be ice cold and you can't feel it after 7 seconds of standing out in the wind. There's no sweating in winter. There are no bugs in winter. There are no snakes in winter. I definitely love that much. So, you got to try though, Callie. If you have some of the Relight, I think I should have, I could have tried a different flavor, but I went with mixed berry. The mixed berry with the strawberry makes it nice. Let's see what you're saying here. The electrolytes are so expensive even online. I agree, Lona. Your smaller city is limited. You buy a brand called BioSteel Electrolytes. I have not heard of that product, but we shall investigate it. Kelly, you don't like the heat at all. You would pass out at the beach. I'm not saying I spend a long stretch of time outside on purpose in the blazing heat, but just enough to start feeling the kiss of that skin. Now, obviously, I got a lot darker while we were in Sicily. I did get sun slapped. I know many people were concerned about that. I have always been very sensitive to the sun as far as getting sunburns, really bad ones, even with sunscreen. And the situation when we were on Mount Etna and I got all of the sun everywhere was that I couldn't wear a hat. We had hiking gear on to go hiking Mount Etna, and I was not prepared for us to go hiking. So I didn't really like have a hat or a sun visor that I could put on. I left the sunscreen back at those linked chains. And if you break one link, then the whole chain falls apart kind of a thing. So because I couldn't wear a hat with the hiking helmet situation, I for some reason, my brain blocked the idea of wearing sunscreen. I didn't think about the fact that I would probably have my shoulders exposed, any of that stuff. I just, there was just compounding effects, and I know how to take care of my skin. It's just when you're on vacation, sometimes you tend to forget a thing here and there. And I've had blisteringly bad sunburns in my life, and I know that that's not healthy. I know it's not good. I know the probabilities of skin cancer are high for me because of all of the sunburns that I've had, and that's just the facts. Not really anything to be done about it here in the present when all of that's in the past. So Callie, you had sunstroke one summer, and ever since then you get super sick in the heat. Yeah. So I definitely think that those kinds of experiences have a major impact. So I don't blame you for not liking the heat on top of the menopause situations. So, all right. Wow. We've been going for like almost 30 minutes. That's impressive for me. I'm shocked. Color me surprised. But I do have every intention of trying to reorient my brain back to we're already jumping back into the homeschooling things. So we've got that rhythm back, and just slowly adding each of my regular rhythms back as we get settled again is sort of the way that I'm going about this. And that means that hopefully I can start showing you what I'm eating in a day shortly. I had a lot of ideas that I wanted to execute while we were on this trip, but time, traveling, all of those things just kind of warped everything. And I was like, you know what? I don't know that it's truly worth it at this moment. So, and I know that there's, loads of travel vloggers out there showing you how to eat traveling, whether or not it's actually like friendly to a ketogenic state of being or not, that's to be determined. But that's where we are. That is where we are. Anyway, I appreciate you hanging out with me today on this Wellness Wednesday, trying to get reset back to my baseline. And I hope to see y'all in my next video or live.